Off your camera, chat with me. Oh, Lauren, new member. Welcome. Which studio? Because I can't see your last name.
Royal Oak.
Oh, Royal Oak. Okay. I can't see everyone's last name, so I don't know which studio. Okay. Hi, welcome. Liz, welcome. Liz, say hi to everybody. You guys, Liz leads our online program. So
hi, guys.
Liz, well, Susie. Yeah, we know Susan. Hello. And Lindsay's our marketing manager. Lindsay, give them a little wave.
Hi, guys.
No,
Hi, Emily. Greta, I'm so glad you could join. Oh, Rosie, you went to, oh, amazing. You went to the M Factor, right? The menopause workshop. Amazing. Welcome. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes because I know we have quite a few people signed up, so they're going to trickle in. While I do that, I am going to have you guys, I'm Nicole, by the way, and I'll, introduce myself in a little bit. I'm going to have you guys interact quite a bit. I've been doing a few of these speeches now, and I find when people ask me questions, we get a lot better of a learning through the workshops because I gear them a little bit more towards you. So if you guys just want to go in the chat and type for me, why are you here? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this? Is this something you're currently dealing with? Give me like a quick few words on like what you're hoping this, what you'll get out of this so I can tailor it a little bit better to the group. Oh, Lindsay, before I forget, are we recording this? Let me record this before I forget.
we are recording.
Okay, let me record.
You record too, though, just in case.
I think it says recording already.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys, pop them in the chat. Why are we here? I want to hear from you guys. We're going to interact today a little bit. All right, good. I was like, we forgot to record the last one, so I want to make sure we record this for the members. Or you guys can come off mute if you want to share. How to minimize cravings. Okay, how to help stop constantly eating. That's a good one. Okay. Coping with sugar addiction. Yeah. I was just going through this, honestly, the last few months. What else? Overeating every time I eat out at a restaurant. That's a good one. Boredom, hunger. Okay. Late night snacks. Yeah, these are all very relevant. The reason we're doing this webinar is I did the last time, who was that? Eating when bored and sweets craving sugar. There we go, you guys. Okay, love it. I'm loving the questions. Who was at the last webinar or has been to any of my workshops on nutrition? Put a little yes if you have been, because this is like a part 2 of a lot of the nutrition webinars and workshops I've recently done. Okay, Greta was there yesterday. We had a really good one. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, so not a lot of you guys. So this one, a lot of the information is going to look similar, but different in the sense of how it's going to relate to all this is going to be different. So the reason we're actually doing this is when I did my first webinar, which was like general nutrition, so many of you guys asked me questions about like binge eating, emotional eating, cravings. And I literally was like, this is a topic. This is a full topic. So that's why we did this. So definitely I'll ask you guys what other topics you want to see in the future so I can host the next one. Okay, shall we get started? Also, can you guys pop, are you Royal Oak, Plymouth, or not local? Pop it in the chat. Royal Oak, Plymouth, studio, or close to Royal Oak, Plymouth, or out of Michigan, not local. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, cool. Quite a few Royal Oak. Okay, beautiful. Oh, okay, cool. A lot of Royal Oak girlies. Plymouth, there we go. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to get started. Just a little housekeeping things. I love to interact with you guys. So I tell everybody, do not hold your questions till the very end. If you have questions, in my last webinars, people just came off mute. Come off mute, interrupt. It's totally okay. Or put them in the chat if you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud. A lot of times when you ask me questions during the presentation, you're going to get a better answer because I'm obviously in that topic. I'm going deep into it. So it allows me to kind of tailor it more to you guys. So please don't hesitate. I do love the interaction. Okay, let's get started, you guys. So we're talking about emotional eating today. And I wanted to say emotional eating looks not just like emotions. It can be binge eating. It can be overeating. It can be a lot of things just kind of in this category of emotional eating. So just to introduce myself, hi guys, I'm Nicole. I'm the owner of Sculpt. I created this fun little slide to just show you guys a little bit about me and my background. So on the you guys will see on my very right side here, this is me back in 2011. I very badly shattered my ankle. And that's what really started my fitness journey. I went through 2 reconstructive ankle surgeries, relearning how to walk and do all basic skills, being in a cast for 2 years. And that really led me to 5 years of physical therapy and recovery where I learned so much about the body. It was like a full deep dive in my own body. And then my doctors were like, well, you need to figure out how to get stronger. You need to build muscle. I had no idea what that meant. Instagram workouts were not a thing yet. There wasn't a lot of information. So I took to the gym, started trying a bunch of things, researching everything I could to figure out how to get stronger. And about 5 years later, you guys will see here in the center is my own transformation from a few years after my surgery to, post 5 years coming into maybe the best shape of my life. So I've been through all of it. And then these are some of the women I've coached, which are incredible. So a lot of my work has to do with women. I've worked with a lot of women on all types of transformations, different goals, but really my own journey led me to my passion in fitness and a lot of the research I've done. So I'm really excited to be here. I love nutrition. I'm a big nerd on it. And yeah, we're going to have a really good talk today. Okay, guys, let's get into it. So why are we doing this workshop? This workshop really is centered around, I would say, the small percentage of times where we really feel out of control in our eating. I'd say a lot of women know generally what they're supposed to be eating, but there are a lot of times in our lives when we're doing super good all day. We wake up in the morning, we hit every single goal, and then we find ourselves at night almost like blacking out and eating and losing control. And it's really frustrating. Or sometimes, we go through this cycle of like, okay, this is the last time. I'm just going to do it this one time and we're done. And it happens again and again. And it gets really frustrating. And a lot of times it's just, you feel like you're out of control. Like your brain and your body are doing 2 different things and you can't figure out why. So this webinar is really for that. And I really want to dive deep in explaining to you guys why this happens and how to fix it. And that's where we're going to go today. Okay. Are you guys excited? It's like, I feel like I'm talking to, I want to make sure you guys are all there. You're paying attention. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So thanks, Rachel. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I was like, I need some feedback here. Make sure you guys are vibing. Okay. So before we talk about how to stop emotional eating, we need to understand why it's happening. I love to ask people before I dive into this, give me, you guys, a 1 or 2 word on why you think it's happening. Put it in the chat. Why do you think emotional eating is happening for you? I love to know where you guys are at and what information you're receiving outside. Menopause, very real. Susan, not meeting my needs. Yes, we're going to talk a lot about that. I can't sleep, hungry. Yeah, absolutely. And then you'll wake up hungry. Boredom. Yes. Not eating enough. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of things we're going to cover today. All those things play into why it's happening. They're not the exact reason it's happening, but they all play into it. Okay. So let's get into it. So one, I want to tell you guys, it is not about the food. I think a lot of people, and I kind of had this realization when making this presentation, so many people, and you'll see this online, they're like, our food is so addicting. It's because our food is addicting. And yes, it is. Our food is very addicting. So that isn't helping, but that's not why we are emotionally eating, binge eating, overeating. It's not just because our food is addicting. There is a lot of biology and a biological response in your body that is causing you to not be able to restrict from the food or to have any sort of discipline around it. So I do want to call that out. It's not a willpower problem. It's not just about the food. There's so much happening in your body that is causing, and the food is the reaction at the very end of this chain. Okay. So the 5 things we're going to talk about. 1, blood sugar dysregulation. You guys know I'm obsessed with blood sugar. It is like the hill I'll die on. It is one of the most important things when it comes to everything in your health and fitness, but especially when it comes to cravings, your sleep and hunger hormones. 3, stress and cortisol. 4, hormonal shifts. So that's, Susan will talk about that. And then 5, which is dopamine and the reward loop. Okay. I hope you guys were at my first one because I love a little blood sugar conversation. Okay, let's get into it. So I talked about this in my first part 1 of our nutrition conversation. Blood sugar is one of the most important aspects of how people get in shape, stay in shape, manage their body weight. Everything is related to your blood sugar. And I think a lot of people don't even realize, they don't know much about, like, how many of you guys even know about like insulin and blood sugar? How many for you, this is a new topic, like insulin and blood sugar are kind of a newer topic to you? I'm assuming a lot of us, right? Well, yeah, Greta learned it. Greta was there yesterday. New topic. Yeah. Okay. So it's a really new topic for a lot of people. And the reason it's important is because your blood sugar controls a lot of things within your body. So I have this graph for you guys, and I'm going to go through it pretty deeply to explain to you guys the relevancy on how it shows up in your body. Okay. So we have this green. And for you guys who came to my first one, some things are going to repeat, some things will be different. We have this green here, right? This little normal range section. When we're talking about blood sugar, your blood sugar are all the spikes and dips that happen from your day-to-day from the things that you eat. Okay. Now, ideally, in an ideal world, we always stay in this normal range, right? That's what we want to do. The normal range is like, okay, we're eating at proper times throughout the day. We're eating the right types of food. Nothing is spiking, etc. So we always want to stay as much as we can within this range. Now, obviously, that isn't the case a lot of times. And a lot of times we find ourselves up and down, which we would call energy spike to food coma, energy spike to food coma. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys an example so I can really explain how this looks. So let's say in the morning you wake up and you have a bagel. And I've been harping on bagels a lot because recently when I go on girls' trips or a lot of things, I notice there's just bagels all the time. And so imagine you have a bagel in the morning. This is going to spike your blood sugar like crazy, right? So you eat something, your body takes it in, it digests the food, it turns it into glucose, which is sugar in the body, which creates energy. Something that has more sugar or energy will spike your blood sugar higher. Something that has less will spike it lower, right? So we have a bagel, spikes that blood sugar super fast, super high, okay? Now we have this like burst of high energy in the next 30 minutes to an hour. But then what happens? Your body takes in all of this glucose, sugar, energy in the body, and your body is like, holy crap, what do I do with it? This is way too much of an overload. And that's when insulin gets released. Insulin, I tell people, is like, it goes in and it starts trapping all the sugar, the glucose. That's how I like to think about insulin. It goes in there and starts grabbing and putting things away to protect your body. Okay, so it has a very important topic. Blood sugar is generally talked about a lot with diabetics because when you think about insulin, you think about someone who is diabetic, right? So we have the bagel, insulin goes in and starts grabbing all that energy because it wants to protect the body. Where's it going to put it? Greta, where's it going to put it? I know you know this from yesterday. It's going to put it in your fat cells, right? If it has nowhere else to store it, my fat. If it has nowhere else to store all of that excess sugar and glucose in the body, your body is going to turn that and put it into its fat cells. It's going to store it for a later time. So what happens now? You go, boom, drop. Your body went in, sent the insulin, took all that, stored it into your fat cells, and now you go into a total food coma. You have no energy left. Okay, you get to the bottom. Okay, now you have all this energy stored and you are tired and hungry. What do you think your body's going to do? What do we think our body's going to do, guys? It is going to force you to eat something that's going to spike your sugar quickly. It needs quick energy. Your body is biologically going to tell you, holy crap, we are low on energy. We need something fast. Crave sugar. Susan, you're absolutely right. Your body's going to go, we need something quick. What's the quickest way to get it? Something with sugar. So then you go get that coffee that has that cream and sugar that you think is just a coffee, but it has all this cream and sugar, and boom, blood sugar spike. Right? We go all the way back into the red. And then what happens again? You're like, oh my God, I'm crashing. Let me have lunch. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to order something healthy for lunch. We order a Mediterranean bowl, but it has a lot of rice in it, which rice doesn't seem like it's going to spike our blood sugar a lot. So we're eating the protein, the veggies, and then a lot of rice. And then boom, we did it again, spiked our blood sugar. And this is what I would say a lot of people's days can look like. It looks like something in the morning that seems simple, but spikes. Then we have a coffee spike, lunch spike. Okay. So obviously this is where the cravings are going to take place. And a lot of people confuse this for emotional eating. How many of you guys feel like you get stuck in this? Give me a yes if you feel like you get stuck in this. Like how many of you guys feel like you don't know what's happening, but it happens so often for you? Yeah. So who else? Yeah. It's so common, you guys. So one of the biggest things, you guys always hear people yell at you about eating breakfast, right? They're like, you have to eat breakfast. And a lot of times it just seems like a dumb thing that they say. They're like, oh, you just have to eat breakfast. But why do you have to eat breakfast? The reason you have to eat breakfast is because if you don't eat breakfast, you're starting your day down here. Your body has no sugar. And if you start your day down here, what is your body going to do? It's going to say, Give me some energy. I need energy and I need it fast, right? Yeah, if you usually skip it, you're probably feeling this. At some point, your body's going to freak out and you're going to eat something that you're like, I didn't want to eat that. That was not my choice. So we don't want to start our day here. We want to start our day here, and then we want to try to stay in this green. Okay. So one of the other things I think is really important to note here is that because this is such a deep biological response in your body, there is no way to fight this for the most part. I think a lot of people think, well, if I was just more disciplined or I just had more willpower, I could fight this. I wouldn't make that choice. And I like to remind a lot of people, there are things your body is created to survive. And there are some things that are going to be extremely hard to fight. So if you are trying to fight this every day, you're going to imagine you're trying to win a losing battle. Okay. And so the goal is we can't do that. We have to figure out how to do this. And we're going to talk more about what that looks like. Okay. Now, before I move on from here, any questions about this? And I just want to share that, your brain's going to go into survival mode when your blood sugar crashes, and that's when you're going to overeat. This is a total physiological response. What questions do you guys have about this before I move on? This is one of our biggest topics. So small meals every 2 to 3 hours. Yes. Fasting. I get questions all the time about intermittent fasting from women. I get all the time, intermittent fasting. Should I stop eating after 7 p.m. before I go to bed? I talk about this a lot. For most women, men are very different. Their bodies react very different to their hormone responses, their sugar, et cetera, et cetera. But for women, I talk a lot about the fact that fasting is really, really challenging on the body. And now I think you guys know why, right? Fasting puts you here. So fasting is one of those things that your body is not made to do in a very extreme way. Your body wants to keep itself constantly safe, constantly in a safe zone, and it wants to know what's going to happen next. So if you are eating something in the morning and then you don't eat again till dinner, you have just dropped yourself here. You're in danger zone. What happens in the low blood sugar zone? Because people think, oh, high blood sugar is so bad. That's what people think, which it is. But a lot of people don't realize low blood sugar is also very bad because it increases your cortisol. Oh, Susan beat me. Releases cortisol. Low blood sugar releases cortisol. We're going to talk a lot about that later. This is just as bad as releasing insulin up here. High blood sugar releases insulin. Low blood sugar releases cortisol. Yeah. But doesn't delaying breakfast allow your body to access energy from stored fat, or am I misunderstanding? Okay, this is a really good question. I like to explain it like this. When you are trying, let's say, to lose body fat, because generally people ask me this question when it comes to losing body fat. When you're trying to lose body fat, this process does not happen in the course of like 2 or 3 hours. Like your body is reaching in and grabbing that stored fat. This process happens week over week over week. If we are putting ourselves constantly in a position where we're skipping meals or skipping breakfast and putting our body into a high cortisol state, which we're going to talk about cortisol later, that high stress state puts your body in the worst position to lose body fat. So in skipping meals, you think that you're really dropping your calories, maybe you're going to lose some body fat, but really what you're doing is you're putting your body in a very stressed position. And a stressed position is no position for your body to lose body fat. It's going to just hold everything it can so that it doesn't survive, essentially. So no, you don't want to skip a meal to go into your stored fat. That will happen naturally from being in a calorie deficit. You don't need to skip a meal to do that. And this takes weeks. So we'll talk a little bit about why that happens with cortisol. But the thing is, I do show myself easy till 5 or 7 p.m. hits. Yeah, but then what happens at 5 or 7? Right? What happens at 5 or 7 is a reaction of what happened before 5 or 7. If between 5 or 7 you were eating, before 5 or 7 p.m. you were eating throughout the day properly, you probably wouldn't notice a lack of control at night. You would feel a lot more in control. I'm going to keep going, you guys, so we can get a little bit more. I'm not a big breakfast eater, but since training with you guys, I make sure to have some protein first thing. Yes, love that, Susan. It does not have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be I'm eating a full 3 eggs and this. It can literally be half a banana, a few almonds, a little yogurt. Like it can be something small, but it has to be something to support your body as you're starting your day. Okay, let's talk about number 2, which is sleep and hunger hormones. Okay, I think this is one of the most interesting things. I think you guys, a lot of you are hearing about the GLP-1s, right? We can't avoid this conversation. It's coming up a lot. Okay, and they're everywhere. There's a lot of pressure around them. I think this will explain to you guys a lot about what they're doing. So sleep, I tell everybody, if you are not sleeping to the best of your abilities, as much as you can, not everybody can get a perfect 8 or 9 hours of sleep, but if you are not sleeping as best as possible, almost all of this is impossible. Sleep is literally the number one thing that's going to control a lot of your food noise, hunger cravings, if we are not sleeping enough. Now, why is that? So there are 2 hormones that are really important to know about. One is ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells your body, I'm hungry, eat, I'm hungry. Okay. If you do not sleep enough, this hormone skyrockets. So literally you have not slept enough and now your body is just screaming, eat, eat, eat. Okay. On the other side, leptin is another hormone that gets released in your body. Leptin is your fullness hormone. I'm full. Stop eating. If you don't sleep enough, this hormone shuts off. It just drops. So all of a sudden now you haven't slept enough. You've slept 4 or 6 hours. The night you wake up, you're really tired. Your hunger hormone is through the roof. You're so hungry all day and your fullness hormone is dropped. What do you think you're going to do? What do we think we're going to do, guys? We're going to eat like crazy, right? We're not going to be able to control our cravings, right? Our hunger is through the roof and our fullness hormone is turned off. Nothing is telling you you are full. The reason I brought up GLP-1s, I think this is really interesting. Ghrelin is one of the hormones, the food noise hormone, that the GLP-1s are fighting. The reason people take them is to fight this. The reason I'm sharing this with you guys is I would rather you fight it through proper sleep, nutrition, fitness, right? So this is one of those hormones that we can do our best to fight through proper sleep. Okay. So obviously you can imagine if you are not sleeping well enough, you're never going to be able to fight these 2 hormones. They're going to be screaming at you. And why is that, right? When you don't sleep enough, your body needs energy throughout the day. So what are you going to try to do? You're going to try to reach for caffeine. You're going to try to reach for sugar because sugar is going to spike your energy levels, but then it's going to make you crash. So you're going to eat more sugar and you're going to go through this whole thing. Your body is asking for energy from an outside source rather than getting it from an internal source through proper recovery and sleep. Okay. So basically you're going to feel hungry all day. You do not feel full after eating. You crave really high calorie foods, less willpower. You're biologically driven to eat. I actually bring this up. A lot of my women I work with, I make them on a day they didn't sleep, track their hunger. Because I want to show them how bad hunger gets when they are not sleeping enough. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Susan, what's the connection between bad sleep and then not hungry following morning? Okay, yes, there is definitely, like, if you wake up in the morning and you're waking up kind of like out of it, you're feeling like a little bit out of sorts. I do feel like some people can react very differently to stress, right? So I think not sleeping is really going to spike your stress. Some people can really react differently to stress, but eventually your hunger is going to spike. Even if you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, like your body is just so out of it, eventually that is going to catch up with you. And I also remind people, sometimes not sleeping well one night is not the same as not sleeping well month over month over month. They're very different. If you have one bad night of sleep and then the next few nights you're sleeping your 8 hours, like, you'll be fine. But if we're chronically not sleeping well, especially when people are going through perimenopause or menopause, sleep is very challenging, right? If people just had a baby recently, they're going through postpartum, you can imagine you're not sleeping very well when you've just had a baby. Or even work stress, family stress, like those are all things that are chronically going to change your sleep. And it's impossible to maybe perfect it, but we'll talk a little bit about how do we make it slightly better to try to combat some of this. Any questions about that, you guys? No, you'll throw them in the chat. I trust you. Okay, let's talk about number 3, which is stress and cortisol. So we already brought up cortisol a little bit. Stress is just an easier way of saying cortisol. Cortisol is your hormone, stress hormone. Okay. Now I couldn't find all the prettiest graphs, you guys, because this stuff isn't available online very easily. I tried my best to make some, but let's talk a little bit about what cortisol does. Okay. So if you guys have ever, been to therapy, and they talk all the time about, stress. When you're stressed, it's like your body's trying to run from a bear, right? It's fight or flight. That is really what cortisol is doing, but it looks very differently when it comes to how food reacts to the body. So obviously cortisol, when it's released in your body, it's going to start trying to increase your blood sugar. It thinks that a bear is coming at you and I need to run from the bear. I need to increase our blood sugar. We need more energy because we're going to run, right? Which obviously you're not doing that. Now, in order to do that, your body is going to pause a lot of the really important functions. Like when your body is like, we're so stressed, we need to function right now at the highest capability, it's going to pause a lot of your digestion. It's going to pause a lot of your other functions that are not immediately necessary in the body. Okay. In doing that, you can imagine it's going to slow down your metabolism because your body is like, we need to get all the energy we can get, stop the burning of the fat. We need it for later. So when you ask me, I think, is that Bo? I think that's you, the B. When you ask me about like, well, doesn't that dip into your fat stores? It can actually work the other way. If your body is way too stressed, it's holding everything. It's like, we need to protect ourselves. Something bad is coming. Hold the fat, hold the energy. We need it. And that's what a lot of times people experience when they're in a really high stress state. They notice a lot of inflammation. Their body's holding on to a lot of things. Okay. So your slower metabolism, you're burning less calories now. Hormones are completely disrupted. Leptin, ghrelin disrupted, right? And then your food preferences change. If your body is stressed and constantly asking for quick energy, what do you think you're going to do when you're looking for quick energy? You're going to eat food that gives you quick energy, right? So we're probably going to eat things that we crave, comfort foods, high sugar foods, things that spike. The other thing we don't talk about is what are comfort foods, right? When we think about when we're stressed, comfort foods, they're usually foods that go into our body and spike dopamine. Dopamine, when you're stressed, your body wants dopamine. It wants that feel-good hormone, spikes dopamine. Obviously, whole grains and whole foods, they don't really spike your dopamine. The things that spike your dopamine tend to be more sugary, high processed foods. So you're stressed, your metabolism is slower, your body's holding on to fat, your hunger hormones are off, and now your body's looking for the fastest comfort energy. All those things are happening at once, right? How many of you guys have experienced that? Like, how many of you guys are like, yeah, that's 100% what's happening. My body's inflamed. Yeah, I'm craving the wrong things. I'm crashing all the time. I feel tired all the time. Yeah, very, very common. Yes, you want the bread. Yes, you do, Susan. You want not even the bread. You want the candy, and the bread's the better option in this situation. Usually you want the other things. And that's what when people say comfort food, they're literally looking for foods that they've trained themselves to give them like relief. It's like, oh, okay, I feel better. I had my bread with butter, whatever it is for you. Now, I do want to talk. Stress is a very convoluted topic. I think you guys probably are inundated on Instagram all the time with influencers telling you like, oh, your cortisol's too high and you have chronic stress and stuff. I do want to remind people that there are different types of stress. And I don't want everyone running to their doctor to get their cortisol checked because I think a lot of people want to blame everything on cortisol. I think a lot of us do experience stress, especially, let's say, if you have families, you have children, you have high stress jobs, if you're going through menopause, like you're definitely going to be experiencing stress. But there is acute stress, which is like I had a stressful situation. And so I ended up like mine when I was younger, it used to be Pei Wei. You guys know the Chinese restaurant? I used to go there and want to eat that to make myself feel better. And then I'd feel like worse. That would be like I had a bad day, did really poorly on a test, got this, felt worse. That's an acute stress. That's not like a chronic stress, right? A chronic stress situation would be somebody going through maybe an illness, going through an extremely challenging time in life. Maybe they are going through major hormonal shifts, things that are long-term, months, years, not I had a stressful situation. Those we can handle very differently. Chronic stress is something that we have to chip away at time over time. It takes a longer time to chip away at. Acute stress is something that we can chip away at by some different habits and different routines. A little bit easier to combat. Chronic stress, we're going to need some time. Okay. And everybody might go through a time of chronic stress in their life. It's not uncommon, especially as our hormones are changing through perimenopause. But I just want to remind everybody, it doesn't always mean you're here. Sometimes there are things we can do in the moment to help with the stress. Okay. Any questions about that before I move on? No? You guys are quiet. I'll just talk. Okay. My favorite topic, hormone shifts. Okay. I think most of us are women here. So I think a lot of us experience, our cycles throughout the month. I'm going to talk about two things when it relates to hormones. I'm going to talk about your regular cycle, and then I'm going to talk about your hormones through perimenopause and menopause. They're very related, but they are different in how they show up. So I want to make sure we touch on both because all of you are going to go through all those cycles in your life, right? If we are women. So first things first, how many of you guys get like so frustrated or probably hear all the time, you should be doing this during your luteal phase and you should be doing this during your cycle and you should be, well, how many of you guys hear that stuff all the time on Instagram? It's like this workout during phase and this workout during this phase. And it's like, am I supposed to be doing yoga? Should I be doing like running a marathon? Like, what am I supposed to be doing when? Right. So your cycle is a real thing and your hormones do change. So you're going to experience different things throughout your cycle. But I do tell people everybody is very different in their cycle. So the one thing I want to talk about here is towards the end of your cycle, as you're going to enter actually your period, right? So during the very end, you guys will notice almost all of us experience high cravings, like overeating before our period, right? Like I think a lot of people, for me personally, it showed all the chocolate. That is a real thing. Chocolate's a real thing, actually, do you know? For me, I experienced it about like 7 to 10 days before, where my body is like, eat bread, eat carbs, eat bread. Like it literally is like a signal happening in my body to eat carbs. And I don't realize it's happening until I go and I look at my tracker and I'm like, oh, it's 7 days before my period, like every single month, right? And if you don't know that information, you're like, why am I eating so much, right? So this is what's actually happening about 10 days before your period starts. Progesterone and estrogen are your two primary hormones, right, that happen during your period, during your cycle. Now, at the very end, before your period happens, your progesterone rises. Progesterone is equated with more cravings, pizza cravings, okay? You love it. Everyone's got their own. Progesterone equals more cravings. Estrogen dropping is less appetite control. So doesn't that sound kind of like ghrelin and leptin, right? One's doing one, one's doing the other. Now that you have ghrelin, leptin, and now you also have progesterone and estrogen that are also telling you different things, okay? So you're in this part of your cycle, you're at the heightened peak of progesterone, your body is craving more foods, more energy, and your estrogen is dropping, which is telling your body less, I'm full, less appetite control, okay? Peaking at around that like 7 days before your cycle. As both of those two things drop, your serotonin, which is that happy signal, happy hormones in your body, is lower. So what is your body going to do? It's going to try to get some dopamine, right? It needs to offset the lower serotonin. You're not feeling, a lot of us feel really sad before our periods. We like cry, we feel, whatever. That's a real thing. Your hormones have dropped and now your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, has dropped. And so your body's generally going to do what? It's going to reach for comfort foods, good experiences, anything that makes you feel really good. Are you guys aware of these in your body? Do you guys like kind of know your cycles and what happens like throughout the weeks? Like it took me a few months, but I've tracked over the year my cycle a lot. And so these are things I want you guys to pay attention to, is what days do I start feeling like maybe a shift in my mood, like sadness? What days do I feel like extreme cravings? Because knowing these things helps us to offset them, right? If I know that I'm going to crave carbs 7 days before my cycle, I'm not going to ignore that. I'm going to eat carbs and try to eat better options. So really, really helpful there. Same with the serotonin drops. Like you need to know that that's happening so you can combat it. I knew the symptoms, but the biology is wild. Yeah. Like the symptoms, people just tell you have them, but why do you have them? They're real. There's a real reason you have them. So this is very important to know, because you need to know it's coming and you need to plan for it. You cannot ignore this and pretend like it's not happening and try to just like fight it. You need to know it's happening. Reminder, everyone is very different. Some people do not have these symptoms on an extreme level. Some people, it's very small. Some people, it's very big. I'm craving pizza now, guys. I'm craving pizza because Daniela said it. See, guys, we're causing the cravings. Okay, so now I want to talk about what happens during perimenopause and menopause, because many of us are in our like 40s. How many of us are late 30s, early 40s, going through perimenopause up to menopause? You guys want to give me like a me? Yeah. Okay, starting my cycle, 40s baby. Peri for sure. Okay. Yeah. So here's what's happening. Okay, so your normal cycle looks like this. This is before perimenopause, right? It's estrogen and progesterone is just alternating up and down like I just showed you guys. During perimenopause, both of those two hormones are still going up and down, but they're both dropping overall. So you're still going to see the spikes and drops of estrogen and progesterone, but overall, both hormones are dropping and both hormones are less predictable. This is the perimenopause phase. Things are dropping, and menopause is when they have both leveled out. They're no longer needed for reproduction. As you guys can imagine, this phase where estrogen and progesterone are still oscillating up and down but dropping is a mix of appetites being out of control, serotonin being lowered, all having to fight it for many years, not just few days of the cycle. Many years this is now happening, causing a lot of changes. So this is why during these years, it really is so challenging. Estrogen being a hormone that actually helps with your appetite, suppressing your appetite through perimenopause and menopause, that hormone is dropping over the years. So your appetite suppressing hormone is dropping over the years. That does make it more challenging. We need to work through that, right? We need to be able to understand that and prepare for that phase. Okay, any questions about this? About your hormones, your cycles, any information you're hearing about working out, etc.? No, we're good. Okay, we're good. Okay, last one, let's talk about dopamine and the reward loop. Okay, this was actually so interesting. I had to literally, and please guys, my graphs, I did my absolute best. These do not exist on the internet, so I did my best to make them with like AI because there's no information about emotional eating online. It's very rare. So I wanted to show you guys what it actually looks like to be like food addicted slightly, because I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, yes, we are trying our best, we're fighting, there's biological sides, but also food is very addictive. There's a lot of dopamine in our foods in the US and in all other countries, but generally like processed foods. So obviously what happens is, like, when you first start eating a food, like your body can control, right? It can control what's happening. But over time, you'll notice you become more and more addicted to the food. I'll give you an example. I really have a sweet tooth. I've had it my whole life. And I do eat sweets quite often. But I do notice I go through phases where all of a sudden something just doesn't taste as good to me. So if I've been eating like candy or chocolate, I have always a little sweet after lunch and a little sweet after dinner. But sometimes I end up going a little too far above and beyond and eating a little too much. And week over week, I start noticing that it just doesn't taste as sugary to me. Like, I just don't like it as much. And I feel like I want more and more sweets to get that like craving I'm looking for. That would be here. This like early addiction, I'm starting to notice, to mid addiction, that I'm starting to notice that my body's just like not enjoying it as much. Like, I want it, but it doesn't taste as good. What actually happens in your body, and I like to share this little graph that I found out. When you start eating sugar a lot, often, your actual dopamine receptors. So let's say you had, this is a very basic graph, guys, because I'm trying to make it easy. Let's say you have these 5 dopamine receptors. So your body eats, it releases dopamine, and these receptors grab the dopamine and they're like, yes, we're so happy. All of a sudden they become less sensitive and you end up with less receptors. So you had 5 before, so that little bit of sugar was like, hell yeah, so much dopamine. And now we've been eating sugar for too long. Our body only has 2 receptors. And now you need like 3 times the amount of sugar for your body to do the same thing. Very similar to any addiction, right? Takes more to satisfy you. You start becoming dysregulated from it. That is literally how sugar looks in the body too. Sugar is like any other, substance out there. Obviously, there are differences, but this is what actually happens. Now, I do tell people, you're not stuck here for the rest of your life. Your body will re-regulate. If you start weaning off of the sugar or the processed foods, like, your body's receptors will come back. But this is what's happening when you feel like you're addicted to sugar. It's like it doesn't taste as good. Your body's not receiving it the same way. And so a lot of times what happens then is, like, by the end, the dopamine surge is just so low, you need more of it. And I like to show this graph, obviously, like, when we're looking at the types of food that are going to spike our dopamine, very similar, like spiking our blood sugar, they're very related. Blood sugar spikes and dopamine spikes are very related. Foods that are highly palatable, which is like foods that are very easy to digest, processed foods. So think of like Diet Pepsi, pizza, we're talking about pizza, pizza, candy, anything like that is just a quick dopamine spike and a quick drop. And then when you get here, you're probably going to want to crave more of it, right? Versus like when you're eating whole foods, it just doesn't really do it. You're just kind of staying here. Okay, very mild. So obviously this is the one part where I feel like food really matters in the sense of like what type of food you're eating. I don't want to ignore the fact that our food is actually addictive in a lot of ways, and we do have to combat that and make those decisions to try to make it easier for us. Okay. All right, guys. So before I go into this whole cycle, anything we want to chat through? Any questions about any of that? Okay, weird question, but as we build these good habits, is there a way to get that high from health? Yes. Yeah. So as your dopamine receptors, okay, so let's go here. Let's go back here. That's a great question. Okay, so let's say that this is you before eating sugar for the next 3 months, right? You have a lot of receptors. Your body reacts a lot to anything that you're eating. Now, this is 3 months after eating way too much sugar. Your body no longer really tastes sugar, and your body's like, nothing's doing it for me. I need more. If you start weaning off the sugar, your body goes back here, right? It's going to eventually re-regulate and start rebuilding your receptors. So if you eat a fruit, the sugar in the fruit is going to start giving you a really great spike. If you eat a candy, you're going to get a crazy spike, right? So with more dopamine receptors, you're more sensitive to sugar, which means whole foods will also trigger in a better way. It's never going to spike it like like drinking a Coke. It's never going to spike it that high, but you will feel more satisfied from the sugars because they're giving you a higher reaction. So yeah, that's a really good question. And that kind of goes back to like here. Like eventually you do get that spike. It's just not going to be as crazy. It's just going to be a longer term spike, which is another reason you guys can imagine when people are going through like depression, right? Or any sort of like mental health illness, sometimes eating these highly palatable foods really can hurt them. It causes a lot of spikes up and down. And so if we can regulate with food a little bit, that really helps overall. Okay. That's a good question. Anything else? I can somewhat easily get into the habit of eating good whole foods, but then I have a cheat day or a cheat weekend, and I feel like that pushes me off track. It makes it harder to get back into healthy habits. How do you balance cheat days? That is such a great question. This actually is like, I talk about this all the time with travel. Like when you travel and you're eating out a lot and you're eating like a lot of good foods, you come home and it's so hard, like right away, the day you get back, to start eating healthy again. And that is because, yes, like the food you were eating, your body was very much enjoying and wants more of. So something we're going to actually talk about later, which is very important, is that when you are coming off a phase, whether it's a day where you like feel like you totally fell off, a travel weekend, whatever it might be, you need to wean off of the sugar or that food. You can't just like cold turkey. Generally, cold turkey is where we get into a binge eating cycle. Like if I come home from a week trip and I've been eating things I really like and I go cold turkey healthy, you can imagine by the time I get to the weekend, I'm binging on something. Like I can't do that. I need to wean off of the food. So I actually know this about myself after years of doing this. It takes me about 3 to 4 days after coming back from a trip or having a really challenging like weekend of eating to wean off of the food. I literally strategically do it like day over day over day until I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I've had a little bit of this every single day. Now I'm like ready to kind of come off of it. I went from a full piece to a half to a third to a nothing. So there is a process of weaning off. I don't actually recommend like a cold turkey a lot of times. It really causes like a dip in the body. Does that help? Does that explain that? Yeah, perfect. What about protein bars lately? There have been bars with sugar in them. Could that help balance out the high? What kind of sugar? I guess it depends on the type of sugar. I guess if you want to give me like an example of a bar, protein bars generally, I mean, a lot of them are using like chemical sugars, right? It looks like they have no added sugar, but they do have sugar in your body. It's just an added sugar. I would say though, the difference with protein bars is protein, and we talk about this a little bit later. Protein, if you eat protein, that actually helps your body break the sugar down better, right? So it it lowers your spike, because protein in the body, if you're eating protein and sugar, those two things together are going to lower the amount of sugar versus eating just sugar on an empty stomach. So if my body is half protein and half sugar, that is a lot better than my body just having all sugar, right? It's like the quantity is actually less. Your body will digest it differently and it'll cause less of a spike of your blood sugar, because protein will lower that spike. So protein bars are like a better option because you're getting that protein in. Weaning off sugar post-vacation, good idea. Yeah, we're going to talk about I created a weaning off plan because I couldn't find one. Okay, let's get into a little bit about the actual cycle. Reminder, I always want to tell people, it is not emotions. It's not just emotions. It's blood sugar, it's poor sleep, it's high stress, it's hormone, it's dopamine. All these together, you're fighting a losing battle, right? If we do not learn how to regulate all these things, we're obviously going to end up in a cycle that feels like it's our fault. It feels like, what's wrong with me? I cannot control this. And that would make sense for anybody. Nobody would be able to control that, right? So I talk a lot about the science, but I actually want to talk about how it looks and feels for an everyday situation, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys a little story, something that I see very often. So imagine you are coming home from work. It's like 5 p.m. You're driving home and you're so exhausted. You had a crappy day. You don't really love your job. You're very stressed. You didn't sleep a lot last night. You got in an argument with your partner and you're still thinking about it. You feel bad. You don't really want to see him. You have to go home and cook dinner. You get home, the kids are running to you and you're just like overstimulated to the max, but you like love your family and you're like, okay, let me just like try to cook them dinner. And then you get into the kitchen and you start scrolling on your phone. You're like disassociating a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm just starving. And then you start grabbing for like the popcorn in your pantry and you're eating it in like bundles in your hand. And you're like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Like you literally just kind of like knock out of it. And then you come down and you're like, oh, fuck, I was going to cook dinner and now I just ate too much popcorn. I'm not even hungry. Like, what do I do? And now you find yourself just like guilt loop. You've eaten something you didn't really want to eat. You haven't even started dinner. You're feeling bad about this, this, and this. How many of you guys like have had, I mean, that is such a common experience. I can imagine none of us have not had that, right? That is what this cycle looks like. Why did this cycle happen, right? The cycle happened, one, the sleep last night, stress from the argument, the job stress, not eating enough at work to getting home and binge eating because you're too hungry. Like biologically, your body's like, give me food right now. All these things stacked up against you and you get home and obviously like you black out. You like black out and you're like, shoot, I'm eating. And I actually have such a great example of this. The first time I really understood what emotional eating was, and I want to give you guys a personal story. When I was younger, I was a very argumentative child. Okay. My poor parents, but I was at home and I was arguing with my dad and I do not remember doing this at all. I went into my pantry, grabbed a box of pretzels and started eating the pretzels while arguing with my dad. Like I was like stuffing them in my face. And my dad literally looked at me. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you eating that right now? And I was like, oh my God, I have no idea. And when I look back now, I realize I was stressed and the food was calming me down. I was trying to like ground myself. I was trying to eat something that would like ground me, wake me up. I was trying to get a little bit of like some sort of like carb sugar craving. And like I was doing that as a response to not being able to manage my stress in that moment. And so a lot of it can look like that. And that was the first time I realized somebody called me out because I blacked out and didn't realize I did it. So very, very real experience that happens a lot with, I would say, the emotion of frustration and anger. Very common in that emotion. Okay, so if this was about food, we all would have fixed it. So it's obviously not just about food, right? We restrict, we crave, we overeat, we feel guilty, we start over, and then all the biology comes in and we're screwed, right? So what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? So one, obviously we talked a lot about the science, right? The physical side. So obviously we need to fix everything that we can on the physical side, do our best, right? Number two is awareness that it's happening. When is it happening? Why is it happening? Three is the habit. Like what is the actual thing we do when we feel this and how do we replace it? And then weeding off the cravings. Like this is a whole topic I want to talk about because it's very real. Okay. Now, number one, obviously, and this, I created this graph. So it's a little long, but I wanted to create kind of my strategy for working with people on this. And we're going to get into every single one of them. Okay. So the first one being stabilizing the physical side, balancing your blood sugar, improving your sleep, stress, hormone awareness, etc. So let's talk a little bit about that. Right. And I want to go here. I showed you guys before what it looks like when your blood sugar spikes too much. And I want to show you what it looks like when you were to eat more stable for your blood sugar. I did not put these in any specific order, but I just want to give you guys an example. I probably should have swapped these, okay? I wake up in the morning, I eat oatmeal with some protein powder and some fruit, pretty stable blood sugar. It's going to last me a few hours. I have a snack, probably have some like fruit, cheese, something, during the day, 2 hours, 3 hours after breakfast. Lunch, maybe I'm having like salmon and some veggies and a little bit of, brown rice. Then I'm having maybe a piece of chocolate or something after. And then at night, I'm having almonds, popcorn, whatever it is, something to balance. All those foods that I just had, I ate the same amount, but all of them stabilized. Nothing was going to put me here or here. So you can imagine now I'm having a day where I can control a lot of things. I've eaten enough calories. I haven't really spiked my blood sugar too high, pretty easy to control. And now that one factor crossed out. Don't have to worry about it, right? Okay, now we're looking at, I like showing this. I showed this yesterday in my speech. When you guys look at high glycemic foods, that's the big spike. We're looking at like processed breads, crackers, bagels, white rice, potatoes, Lower foods are going to be, I tell people, you know what they are. Anything that looks fresh from a grocery store, grown from the earth, is really going to be in the low glycemic index. So anything like fruits, nuts, vegetables, proteins, anything that naturally occurs on the earth for the most part is going to be on the low glycemic index. I tell people don't overcomplicate it. You can look up the glycemic index, but we usually know. So trying to stay in those things that are like obviously naturally grown. And then if we want to have a sweet here or there, having it after a meal. Okay. All right, let's go to here. Number 2, I wrote not fix your sleep and stress, but improve it. Most people cannot just fix their stress. Stress is real. Life is real. Sleep is real. We can't just go from like 6 hours of sleep to 9 beautiful hours of sleep and fix everything. So a lot of times it is like, can I get 1 more hour of sleep? Can I ask for help at home? I mean, women, you guys, we do a lot. And a lot of the women I work with, I have to tell them, you need to go ask your husband for help. You need more help. Ask your children for help. Where can you get a little bit of support to try to get a little bit of time for yourself? It's hard, but it's real and it needs to happen for you to make a change. Boundaries at work. I have women who are working 14-hour jobs as lawyers. They have a choice. They either stay in that job or they change it, get a new job, or lower their stress, or they're not going to be able to fix this. It's a hard decision. Some of these things are hard lifestyle changes, but if you don't change them, there is no answer here. You can't just lower your stress, right? Limiting high intensity workouts. If we're in this state, I don't want to see you guys HIIT training. I don't want to see you guys like sprinting. I want to see you guys doing strength training, walking, lower intensity. Therapist, love a good therapist. Sometimes we need it through a phase of life. Strict sleep hygiene, trying to get to bed without scrolling on our phone, trying our best at least a few nights a week to get those 7-8 hours in bed. Limiting caffeine and alcohol, not fun. We love those 2 things, but want to limit them. And then balancing your hormones. If you're going through perimenopause or menopause, talking to a doctor about hormone replacement therapy or what kind of support you can do through this phase to help you get through it with a lower chronic stress. Okay. I'm rushing through these little guys. I know we're low on time, but any questions? I don't want to jump too quick. Okay. Leave a company that I've been with for 10 years due to overstress was the hardest thing. Congratulations. That's huge. Sometimes I genuinely tell people like, it's not you. You can't always like get rid of stress by like doing self-care and like taking a shower, and it's not going to work. Sometimes it literally requires like a major decision that is choosing a different lifestyle. So that's amazing and probably very needed. Okay. Talking about our hormones. So when we're fluctuating with estrogen and progesterone here, I told you guys, what I don't want you to do is ignore that that's going to happen. I don't want you to try being like, I'm not going to eat any carbs. I'm not going to eat any sugar before my period. Like I'm going to fight it. And then your body just binges. It's like, holy crap, I want it. What I would rather you do is figure out when that's probably going to happen. So for me, I know it's about 7 to 10 days before, and I am going to eat more carbs. I'm going to eat a little bit more whole wheat bread. I'm going to throw in more fruits. I'm going to throw in more rice into my meals. Like I am preparing for this. I'm not fighting it so that I can actually get through it without having crazy spikes, right? That is very, very helpful. So do not ignore this. Work with it. Okay. Try to keep exercising. Also really helps with blood flow. Okay. The next one is awareness. So when you're going through this phase, one of the hardest things is we black out, right? Do you guys feel like you black out when you're like starting a emotional eating moment? Give me a little hand raise. Are you guys still there with me? There we go. Little blackout. Anybody else? Who else is going through it? Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. And it's not like a full-on blackout. Sometimes it's like a few seconds. You're like, crap, I didn't even like that. I just ate that thing. I didn't even like it. That was a stale brownie. Why did I eat that? Like sometimes it's even that. The first thing is being able to stop for a second. You know it's coming, and stop and just be like, okay, what's happening? Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I frustrated? Like, is this emotional, or am I actually needing to eat? It takes some practice, but it's being able in that moment to be like, I am about to grab for food. Why? Do I want the food, or am I like going through something? Number 2 is I want you to notice when it happens. Most people, this is not random. Most people, this always happens around the same time, like at night or right after work, or, on a weekend after drinking. Like this is not usually a random pattern for a lot of people. It is usually very routine because they have similar triggers. So I want you to notice, like some of my clients, they've told me it'll happen at work. They'll end up having a horrible day, and at lunch they'll order something that they just regretted ordering. They didn't even want it. They feel crappy after, but they just were feeling so bad at their work day that they ended up just being like, whatever, I want to eat this food. And that was the pattern. Something at work was happening. Most people, it's when they come home from work or when their kids go to bed. Wine, they want to drink, they want to eat, they want to snack. Valid. I just want you to pick up when it's happening and not really judge it. Just when is it happening? Number 3 is understand what it's doing. What is that thing you're trying to get doing for you? Are you trying to have that, nighttime snack because you're hungry? Is it because you're trying to calm yourself down because you're so stressed and overstimulated? Are you trying to forget so you want to eat while you're watching TV and you just want to have some sort of fixation? What is it doing? And what is it helping with, right? Because the last one we're going to do is build that pause. So this is really important. I actually have my clients do this. They don't love it, but I have them do it. When you feel that this is about to happen, oh, where'd you go? I literally have them set a timer. They're about to grab the food. They're about to order their DoorDash. They're about to do whatever they're going to do. I make them put a 3-minute timer. I don't care what they do in that 3 minutes. I want them to put the timer because that goal is I want them to try to calm themselves down for a second. I just want you to be like, okay, I'm so frustrated. I'm so upset. Me and my boyfriend broke up, whatever it is. I want them to figure out what it is and then be able to cognitively say, I do want that piece of chocolate. I'm going to eat that piece of chocolate, or say, I'm actually really starving and I need to eat a meal. I need to have something, whatever. The timer is really, really helpful, especially if you're someone like me who had those kind of blackout moments and didn't realize that I was even getting there. Okay. And after we do that pause, then we can replace it, right? I'm going to give you guys some of my so instead, maybe sometimes we want to eat. Okay. Sometimes it is. And if that's what you want, make that decision and go for it. No guilt. Sometimes you're I'm eating my Cheetos and it's going to happen. And that is not an emotional eating. That's I want to eat this. Very different situation. I have full control over that decision. I'm making the decision. But what has worked for me, because this is something that is not perfect. I am a gum chewer. Okay. Something that's worked for me a lot when I start to find myself about to go into a moment of binge. Gum, tea. I need to sip and drink and whatever. Poppy. I need to do something. It's not that I'm going to not do something. I need to do something. So a lot of times I'm finding things that I can quickly fill in that gap so I don't jump right to the food, right? Gum has worked for me. Tea has worked for me. Scrolling on my phone. I hate to say it. Sometimes all the food did for you was help you to disassociate for a few minutes, which you needed to disassociate. Instead of the food, I know the phone is not a perfect option, but it is an option that helps you eliminate the food as a need, as an emotional need, right? They're both helping you disassociate. The better options are walking, if you can walk. I mean, if you can get out, walk. I walk around my house. I pace around my house sometimes for 3 minutes and I'm what am I feeling? And calling somebody. I'll call, if I'm really angry, I'll call a friend, partner, parent, and until it calms down. Once it's calmed down, then you can make that decision. You can say, I'm going to eat this anyways, or no, I need to eat dinner first, then I can have the sweet that I want. Thoughts on that, you guys? How does that relate to you? Any thoughts on that? Does it feel doable? Yeah. The pause is the most important thing in this whole step. Because if you don't know you're doing it, you're just blacking out. It's full emotional awareness when it comes to eating. So the last thing I want to talk about, and this is my first time doing this, so this is a longer webinar, but if you guys have some time, we can stay on. Yeah, the gum is I'm a gum addict. Genuinely, I love gum. I eat gum after most of my meals because gum has become a signal to me that my meal is over. It's become a trained signal to me, and I really like that. Okay, let's talk about weaning off the cravings. This is really important. There is a reality that you guys, there are foods that you are probably very, very drawn to that are not so easy to wean off of, and you need to actually do this with some thought. This isn't random, right? I was looking for this picture. This is us when we're eating sugar. We're freaking happy, okay? So we got to put a little bit of thought into this. we need to rebuild our sensitivity to sugar and whole foods, because you guys will notice when you only eat whole foods, they taste so good. Like if you eat a mango and you don't eat a lot of sugar, that mango tastes so good. But if you've been eating a lot of sugar and, you know, processed foods, that mango tastes like stale cardboard. They taste like two different things. And you'll notice when all of a sudden your body is so like unreceptive to things. And that's what Bo asked about. Will whole foods eventually taste better? Yeah, they will. And they taste really bad when you're used to eating sugar. So obviously the first thing we need to do is, I don't want you guys to quit cold turkey. It's taken me a month and a half to come off my sugar craving. Like that's how long I've let myself do this. Do not quit it cold turkey. It's not going to work. You are eventually going to end up in a cycle where you're going to go binge and eat 3 times the portion that you wanted to eat because your body literally freaks out. Okay. Expect it to take time. I made a little calendar for you guys. I'll show you what it looks like. 2 to 6 weeks. You need to replace the reward. Most people, you can't, if you just cut sugar, like you still want to eat something after. It could be a fruit, it could be a poppy, it could be whatever you need after a meal, something to replace it. Okay. So this is something that I just kind of quickly created for you guys because I wanted to show you, and I need to somehow get these on Google. I wanted to show you guys what this actually looks like in real life. Like what does weaning off sugar mean? Because it's kind of like makes no sense, right? Are you guys like, how many of you guys are like level like a little sweet after lunch or dinner? You know, can't live without it, right? So one of the things that really helps me here is I like to buy portioned sweets. It is very, very hard to have an entire cake in front of you and strategically cut one piece of cake that's the right portion. Because like my family makes fun of me. I'll go in and cut slivers. Like I'll cut like 4 slivers. I'm like, okay, what's a small sliver? And I want more and more and more, right? So before and after, yeah. No, same girl. So generally, buying portioned sweets is the way to go. Buying like a candy that comes in an individual packet, buying a cookie that comes individually packaged. So you know, like ice cream, I buy like individual ice cream like things like popsicles. So I know that this is around 150 calories, and that's it. I know. So generally, what I'm doing when I'm not in that situation is I'm just trying to cut the portion. Like if I've been eating this cake and I did make myself brownies, which I haven't made in a long time. I'm cutting portions, big portions. Now I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stop eating it. I'm just going to try to eat a little bit less for this week, just like literally a smaller amount. I get into week 2. I'm like, okay, let me cut that sweet in half. Like that big portion, we're cutting it just into half. I'm still eating it every day, just a little half portion. I get into week 3 and I'm like, okay, let me try swapping like a few days. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to eat a little bit of that dessert, but maybe like I'll force myself to eat an orange for like lunch 2 days, 3 days this week instead of that dessert and kind of force a little bit of a wean off, but I'll still have the dessert at dinner. Now I get into week 4 and I'm like, okay, you're doing an every other day situation. Guys, desserts are very different than when I talk about individually portioned. A dessert is like I'm eating a piece of cake. An individually portioned like 100-calorie cookie is not that thing. That thing is like very easy to control. One portion, very easy. I get into week 4. Now I am starting to like alternate it off, which I am in right now. I've been able to make it like a few days alternating off. And then week 5 and 6, I start replacing it. I find different habits. I'm eating more oranges, which I posted yesterday. I'm walking a little bit more. Like it is a lot easier to stop eating that dessert. This is not a perfect process. Some days the weekends come and you eat it, but now you have a lot more control after these like first 3 weeks, right? Where you're like slowly cutting portions. Does that make sense for you guys? Is that helpful? Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. So many thumbs up. We love it. So this is for somebody who's been eating sweets for months. If you're just coming back from a vacation, you can do this process over like 3 to 4 days, right? Just slowly half the portion, fourth the portion, cut it out by like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. All right. Oh, we're at the end. What questions do we have? I'm going to stay on. I have an extra 30 minutes. So I'm going to stay on, answer any questions you guys have about training, this conversation. So, but give them to me, guys. What questions do you have? You can come off mute if you want, and we can kind of go deeper now into all these topics. Thoughts on dates for a street? Great, sweet. We had yesterday I was doing a speaking event and I had so many questions about dates because influencers are obsessed with dates. All of a sudden you see like influencers like putting peanut butter and then dipping their dates in chocolate and freezing them. Dates they're truly a sweet. Like they're very high in sugar, but they are a natural sugar. They're equivalent to like eating honey, right? Like it's better than eating a processed sugar, but it's still sugar. So honestly, if you're picking between like a piece of cake and a date, the date is a great option. It is natural sugar, but it's still sugar and it will, you know, spike your sugar, but it's definitely going to process different. Yeah. Susan, that's a great choice. Go for it. What else, you guys? I know you guys have got to have questions. So much info. Well, I'll give you guys a little quick overview because Liz is here. Liz is our online coach. I know some of you guys, I'll give you guys all the deets, but anyone who's online, not from our studio, we do online coaching now, which is a full nutrition and training program that you can do from anywhere. It's normally $200 a month and we're doing 10% off. So if you guys want to do that today, you can. And then our girlies who are not around us, but are Royal Oak or Plymouth, you can book a consult and come in and chat with us. So if you guys have any questions about the program too, I will answer them. How much sleep do you recommend a night? Daniela, how much sleep do you get a night? Oh my God, did you guys both ask the same question? Oh no, sorry, Kate. Kate, how much sleep do you normally get a night?
I've been struggling falling asleep, so I know I'm not getting enough. I'm probably getting like 6.5 hours the last few weeks. So
then genuinely, do you know why you're having trouble? Is it like stress? Is it like is there anything that you can?
Well, some days I've been taking my ADHD meds too late, so I think I'm just like hyper from those. But other times I feel like I'm doing that like revenge thing where you're like, oh, I'm controlling and like, you know, like I don't know what it's called, but it's like where you're like, oh, I'm finally in control.
Oh, like
so,
you're like in bed scrolling because like your day, you're like trying to, it's like
yeah, I don't know. My therapist said it's like
it's a real thing. Yeah.
So
it's like taking back a little control.
Yeah.
So genuinely in a situation like yours, because sometimes it is hard to fall asleep, I just try to make it up to 7 to 7.5. Like ideally you want to get into the 8 to 9 range. That's not going to happen overnight. That might take months. Oh yeah, revenge. Yeah. Oh, isn't it like revenge scrolling or something they call it? Like
I think
I do that too. So the point of that being is like I try really hard when I scroll at night to scroll before I'm supposed to be in bed. So like if I know that I need to be in bed by like 11 because I sleep a little later, 11 to wake up at like 7 or 8. Okay, 8. Let's be honest, not 7, 8 o'clock. If I'm in bed knowing I have to wake up by like 8, I'm trying to be done scrolling by 11 and then go brush my teeth and then get into bed. So like I might be doom scrolling for like 10 to 11, but then it's like 11 was the bedtime. So I try to be done then.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good idea. Like set a boundary.
Yeah. It's not, I actually like, I'm like 11 is you can literally do it to 11. It's not a perfect model. I still I'm getting a little overstimulated from it, but it's much better. Yeah. And then the whole point is that the time in bed is there. Like I need about 30 minutes to fall asleep. So I have at least 8 hours in bed.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah. So try to work it up to like 7 to 7.5. And then slowly over time, weeks, you might be able to get there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. What else, you guys? I'll put this here. I don't know what you guys want. What else? What questions do you guys have? Liz, do you like your picture here? A little slide of us.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
As I know, if they're about 30 minutes before bed, I try to start reading from my screen just because I will sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And then I'm up, coming coaching at 6 a.m. It never works. Smart. So phone in a different room if possible.
Yeah. What else, you guys? There's a bunch of you guys on. I want to answer any questions. Like there is nothing you can't ask. Is it best to do a protein carb combo for a snack? You know what, Susan? I find that does work for me. Like I feel like if I just eat like, I guess it depends. Like a protein bar is like a protein carb, right? But if I'm just eating like, sometimes I'll eat like cheese and salami or something like as a protein snack. I do find if I don't throw in like a fruit, like a lot of times I don't always want the cracker. Like I like the taste of the salami and the cheese. I'll throw in like a fruit or something to give me a carb. Because if not, I get hungry faster. Like if I'm eating protein, like a yogurt, like it just does not fill me up if I don't eat something else with it. So I'll throw in like berries in it or a banana or like something, maybe a piece of toast. Like I need something to fill me up as well. So yeah, I usually try to do both to get me through a little longer. Nuts is perfect. Apple is perfect. Yeah, those are perfect. That's like exactly how I would do it. It's exactly what I do.
I like to think of little charcuterie plates.
Yeah.
Just doing little charcuterie plates so I never feel full if it's just protein or just carbs. I need the combo.
Heather, Oh, excited for online coaching. Yes,
I
because
talked
Liz
to her.
is
I
now.
talked to Heather yesterday.
Oh,
She is
amazing.
lovely.
Yeah, because Liz is here now full time. So she has the capacity to take on. So we actually opened it up. How would hybrid online and studio program work? Heather, let's talk about this after because we do have that. Essentially, some of our girls will come into studio like once a week, or they'll come in like once a month and then do the rest online just so they can get a little bit of coaching. So we can talk about that and like find an option for you. We have a few girls in Rillo who do that. Yeah, we love it, guys. That's how I started. I actually started in online coaching. So it's like a full circle 6 years later. We're back, you know? Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Heather. What else, you guys? What other questions about the program, the studio, emotional eating, nutrition, anything, fitness? You guys have me for the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Oh, there's still you guys. What else, you guys? How can I help? Oh. Any savory breakfast ideas that won't spike your blood sugar? I feel like savory is less likely to spike your blood sugar, like in terms of if you're thinking like eggs, if you're thinking like sometimes a lot of times for breakfast. So if I'm having like a day where I can sit down and eat a breakfast, I tend to eat breakfast like 1 or 2 hours after I wake up, if I'm being honest. Like I don't like to eat breakfast right away. If I have that time, I can actually make like an egg with, you know, a piece of toast and cheese, whatever. Like a lot of times it's gonna look something like that or oatmeal, whatever. If you're on the run, I honestly tend to favor something like a piece of whole wheat toast with like peanut butter banana.
Okay.
Actually not savory, nothing like cheese.
That's okay. I'm just tired of yogurt and I like almost always eat in
Yeah.
the office because I'm normally like in a rush in the morning and I'm tired of eating yogurt. So like what else is there?
You know what, guys, maybe you guys can chime in because I can eat the same thing for like a year. Like
That's
I'm
fair.
and it's not because I want to eat it, it's because I don't want to think of anything else. So like I've been eating the same oatmeal with protein, vanilla, like protein powder, peanut butter, and chia seeds and blueberry for like 6
That
months.
does sound good. That does sound good.
You know, and then my other one is usually like eggs with like scrambled, like was a vegetable scramble, a piece of toast and jam. Like that's only my two only
Okay.
breakfast videos. I know a lot of people like wraps. Avocado toast with egg. Oh, that's a good one. Avocado toast with egg. Like what else? Avocado toast. Wow. I mean, you could literally eat anything. You could eat what you would eat for lunch for breakfast. Like I do remind people, like I know some people like that. I'm not the best at it. So I'm Lebanese, and in our culture, Greek yogurt, like we have kind of like a Greek yogurt. We eat it on bread. So I usually I do toast with plain Greek yogurt, a little bit of salt and olive oil, and it's delicious. Sometimes I throw like tomatoes on it. That's our version of like peanut butter and jelly. So you get a little protein, you get a bread, a carb. It's like a very good. So that's my savory toast when I like don't want to eat like a heavy banana. Okay, when you say your body responds well to consistency, does that also help to eat the same foods often? I wouldn't say it matters so much about eating the same foods often. It's more about like the timing of the foods and the like what the food is. Like you do want to be able to eat protein throughout the day. Like your body wants to get that, you know, throughout the day. You do want to eat, you know, like you don't want to eat like massive meals 2 times a day. Like that's not the kind of consistency I want. The consistency I want is like more like every 3 to 4 hours we're eating like a well-portioned meal versus like, okay, if I'm consistently eating 2 meals a day, I'm consistently eating. That isn't the best thing for the body. So it doesn't exactly matter what type of foods you're eating, just more so that you're eating at like similar intervals so your body can prepare for it with digestion and everything. Yeah, that's a good question. Sarah does a great egg and sausage burrito. Ooh, love that. Protein smoothies on the drive to work. A good one. What else, you guys? Some really good questions. I love a few questions here. What do you guys feel like? Do you guys feel like you struggle the most? Is there anything you're struggling with the most right now? Seems like breakfast is a really big one for a lot of people.
I'm struggling to find something quick to eat before my energy drinks. It's really hard. I tried the protein bar this morning, and my 6 a.m. can confirm I complained the entire time eating it before, so it might be too heavy. So I'm thinking we'll scale it back, try like a banana or something. So
a morning protein bar is tough.
it was so heavy, Nicole. It was so heavy. But having something in my stomach before I hit up caffeine is really helping with the cortisol, keeping the stress and the hormones low. So finding something there.
Yeah. The mental load of meal planning kills me. That is so real. I will say, like, one of the things I remind a lot of people, a lot of women are very busy. Like, it's just a reality. And I think a lot of us feel the need to cook everything and meal prep everything and like kind of do what feels very perfect in the cooking and meal world. And I will remind a lot of people that you can find great or better success by finding more convenient ways to eat. So like some examples of these that I give a lot of my women when I'm working with them, like I am not somebody who cooks very often. I probably cook once to twice a week max. And so a lot of times, yes, when I'm cooking, I am making that one meal for like 4 days, but most of my life looks like things that are very easy to do. So like a lot of times if I'm at Trader Joe's, I'm grabbing like salad packs, like those like bags of salad that are like, have like the pre-made whatever. And I'm grabbing like tofu, chopping it up and just throwing it in, or a rotisserie chicken. I'm usually doing like I always have like frozen meatballs in my freezer if I need them. I always have eggs if I need like a quick dinner or whatever. Like I will definitely say that meal prepping is not always the best solution for a lot of us, because if we're already really busy and then we're also trying to meal prep, if that meal prep doesn't happen, your whole week falls off. So I would rather you figure out what are the ways to get the easiest possible meals as fast as possible. And for me, really, it does look a lot of tuna cans. Like I literally eat a lot of tuna. I eat a lot of tofu because those don't have to be cooked. I do a rotisserie chicken every once in a while. I'll always cook 1 to 2 meals a week to have like a little bit of leftover food. And so it's pretty much like pretty simple things that I'm eating because I want to be able to like get through it quickly. I don't have the time to like cook, you know, those people who like go do their grocery hauls and they cook like every meal for 6 days, like breakfast, snack, and they put them all in Tupperwares. Like that's hard. Like we don't got that kind of time. So like we need like 3 salad bags from Trader Joe's, pack of tofu, you know, rotisserie chicken, some, you know, frozen veggies that we can throw in the air fryer, and like, boom, you know, I did that pre-kit. You did like the 6 like meal, the Tupperwares. Oh my goodness. Good. You go. I have 2 kids. Their names are Sculpt Studios Plymouth and Sculpt Studios Royal. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I've never been able to do that. I like to have a few things like in Tupperware ready to go, but like I can't do all of the snacks and meals. Like that would kill me. But I eat the same things every day. Like I have a pistachio bag and cheese and brie cheese, and I do all the same things. What are your thoughts on having a splurge meal each week? I usually do this because going out with my friends on weekends usually involves going to a restaurant, and I can't always just eat a salad. Absolutely. Karen, talk to me about what splurge means for you. Like, what does it look like? Like, are we eating like apps and a meal and drinks and dessert? Like, what does it look like? Because that can be very different things for very different people. Any insight on that? Because one thing I will say, like going out to eat is very challenging in the beginning of your journey as you're trying to figure out how to fit it in. But going out to eat is not inherently going to be challenging forever, because once you figure out how to do it, it pretty much is something very easy to do. And I tell people there's 2 types of eating out. And before you go out to eat, you really need to decide which one you're going for. There's I'm going to a restaurant I go to all the time just to meet with a friend. I'm going to order. It's not the most amazing restaurant in the world. I've already been here 7 times. I'm just going to order the salad with salmon. Like, and I have those restaurants. Like, I'm just meeting up a friend. We've been there 10 times. I'm not trying the menu, right? Then there's like, I go to Detroit to the cool restaurants. We're going to go there once, probably never go back. And I really want to like try the food. Very different experiences. The first one to me is not what I would consider a splurge. That is, I'm just picking a good option on the menu because I want to hang out with my friend. That's completely different. The second one is an experience. I'm going for the food. And so the food I'm eating is going to be more, I would say, of a splurge. But I think the important thing to note here is the quantity is really all that matters. It's not really about the food. Like, I think a lot of times, like, we struggle at restaurants with like pasta dishes and like sushi or whatever. And it's never the actual food, it's the quantity. And so a lot of times if I'm going to a restaurant where I want to splurge a little bit, I'm going to pick the like splurge dish as a side, or I'm going to split it with somebody and then try to pick a dish that's a little bit on the lighter side. So like an example would be like a steak could be more of my main dish, and then we're getting a pasta to share. Or I might be getting like, I'm trying to think of like another example. Like if I'm getting sushi, this is a great example. I love sushi. I eat sushi like at least once a week. It's my like biggest splurge thing. I'm usually getting one roll that is a splurge, and all the other rolls are just raw fish and veggies, like spicy tuna roll or like a rainbow roll. Like they're no sauces. They're not really splurge. So the balance is really what works. It's not about like exactly what you're eating. If I'm getting a burger, I'm getting a side salad instead of the fries. So I'm allowing myself to splurge, but in a more like strategic way, especially when I'm going to a nicer restaurant. Does that help, Karen?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Instead of texting, I'll just talk.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, and I kind of do the both, but sometimes it's just I just feel like having a splurge. Like for example, if I go to like a Mexican restaurant, I can't not have the chips and salsa and also like a burrito. I mean, I might not eat the whole thing, but to me that's a splurge. Or for example, I went to trivia the other night, and it's at like, a place that has bar food. So everybody ordered pizza. I ordered a salad, but I had one piece of pizza. So I was trying to like, do that instead of just eating pizza and nothing else. I ate the salad first. So
that literally is the perfect situation. I actually do that every time people get pizza, they never order a salad. I make them order me a salad. I eat the salad first, and I have 1 or 2 slices of pizza. Because if I didn't eat that salad, I would have had 3 to 4 slices of pizza.
Right. Exactly. I would be so hungry. Yeah.
That's exactly how you're supposed to. You need to, I call them volume foods. Volume foods are like veggie, like foods that have very low calories that you can eat a lot of that really fill you up. Your life kind of revolves around volume foods to fill you up, to then have the food that you're craving, but less of it. Like the pizza is not a problem. It's the 6 slices of pizza that's the problem, right? So that is like actually the perfect scenario. So a lot of times when I do go to a restaurant that I'm splurging at, I just try really hard to not make the whole experience a splurge. Meaning if I'm going to drink 1 or 2 glasses of wine, I'm not getting a dessert. If I want the dessert, I'm not going to have the wine. Like I am just alternating what gets preference when I'm going out to eat.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you do all of them, you go from 800-900 calories to 2,000. Like all of them together become really challenging to manage in your week, and probably are going to affect weight loss. But if you're eating just the meal, you're in a much better position.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that makes sense. Yeah. Same with like drinking. Like I didn't have a drink when we did trivia, because I had the pizza was my splurge. Right. So maybe next time I eat healthy at home and I come in and I don't order food, and maybe I have a drink, I
do that all the time. And people are going to think you're weird. They're going to try to pressure you. Like, oh, come on.
Right. Do this. Here, have some fries. Here, want some pizza. Yeah, exactly.
People do that all the time. I have found I either am going to eat or I'm not going to eat. Because if I start eating 1 fry, I'm going to eat 30 fries.
Right.
There's no like eating one. I don't even want to try it. If I try it, I'm done. Like I need to decide, am I eating before and I'm going full, or am I eating there? There cannot be like an in-between. My recommendation is never go hungry. Never go hungry unless you're actually intending to eat the food there. If you go hungry, you are going to eat the fry. You have no control. Like there's that's 100% a thing. So I do that a lot, especially in the beginning of my journey. I used to very often try to eat before I went if I was going to a restaurant where I didn't like the food. Like if I was going to a bar food restaurant where I'm like, this is like, I don't want to waste, on like a nasty burger. Like if I'm gonna eat a burger, I want to go to a good burger restaurant. This isn't it. I would eat before so that I could eat a good burger at a restaurant another day that week. So I would kind of like be intentional on like what food I wanted to splurge on. So I didn't just eat food for no reason that I didn't want. But that's how you're doing it. That's a perfect way to do it. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Program questions. Do you track meals in the app or use something like MyFitnessPal? We love if you are tracking calories and macros, you're using MyFitnessPal. Some people prefer not to track calories and macros. We do decide that for you. We'll tell you which one you're doing. If you are not tracking calories and macros, we're either having you do a food log, which you do track in the app. So you'll be taking pictures of it, or you're writing it down, because we as coaches, even if you're not tracking your calories and macros, we need to track them for you. We have to have an idea. So sometimes it looks like some people have to, they need tracking. It helps give them some structure, and some people that isn't the right option for them. And we're going to do a different method where we can still get an idea of like how you're tracking or how you're eating. Sorry, like what our numbers are at. So yeah, good question. I love these questions. Anything else, guys? What else? Yeah, 4 more minutes. I'll take like 1 more question or 2 more questions. I think I'm realizing I need to make my webinars an hour and a half for questions. Because last time we didn't have time. We love Q&A. What else, you guys? Anything else? Yeah, of course, Adina. Thanks for coming. Any fitness questions? Everyone's workouts going well?
Oh, I do have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since I've been working out, I'm noticing my body changing just a little bit, and I just do like the 2 classes a week, right? But I also feel like I've gained weight. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's really the weight and the fat is like pound for pound, right? I'm not supposed to really gain weight, but I'm wondering too if I'm having a more of an appetite. So I tend to eat before, so I have some protein in my system, and then I come home and I want to eat again.
Which generally you need to eat before workout and after. So that is something that's supposed to happen. So a lot of it is going to be about like what we're eating and how much. But did you ever come to the part 1? I'm going to share my screen of like part 1. I don't think you were at one of the part 1s, were you? It doesn't really part 1, it's just a different topic. Okay, I just want to share my screen really quick and show you something because I think it's really helpful. Okay. Do you feel like you're gaining weight, but your body looks different?
Yeah, it looks different, but it's very slow. It's very gradual, but I can definitely tell some of the toning in my arms and my legs.
Nice. Okay, congrats on that. Let me share my screen. I'm going to show you something. So that's real. I started weightlifting, and I like to use myself as an example because we're all humans and our bodies react very similarly. There's 2 things that happen when you weightlift a lot that I think a lot of people just maybe can be really challenging in the first phase of weightlifting, because weightlifting is very different than like cardio. Okay, here it is. Where is this? So 2 things here to know. The first one is that obviously when you're weightlifting, your body's going to retain so much water. So much water. I tell people one of the hardest things when people first start training with us is that a lot of times they don't make it through their weightlifting phase as long as they should, because they start freaking out about how bloated their body feels and how much water they're retaining. And so I do have to remind a lot of people that like, oh, is this sharing? Sorry, I'm trying to screen sharing for you.
Yeah, I think I did see this one. I did come to one of your like lunches, the one that was in Royal Oak recently.
Oh, beautiful. But I want to bring this back up because I feel like it's really important. When you're weightlifting for a while, you are 100% your water weight is very, very high. I'm experiencing this right now. My legs, even though I know that I'm in better shape than I was 6 months ago, I started a pretty heavy like weightlifting phase 6 months ago. My legs the last few days have looked bigger than they've ever looked. They are so like they're holding so much water. I don't recognize them, but I have to like remind myself that is water and it doesn't go away in a day. If you're weightlifting on Tuesday and then you're bloated and then you weightlift on Friday and then you get bloated again, like you're kind of going through a cycle where you're retaining a lot of water because the water is what helps your muscles rebuild. That is number 1, which is very challenging for a lot of people to accept that like I look kind of puffy. Like I don't look super lean, because the reality is with a lot of my women, when they're going to feel their leanest is when they take a little break from heavy weightlifting and stop hitting kind of PRs and their body like de-swells. And that usually requires us to take a little bit of a step away from heavy weightlifting and more go back into like a maintenance phase. And so we do that strategically. At some point you will do that. But for about 3 to 6 months, it's usually we're pushing, like we're trying to build the muscle, we're trying to build underneath the body, and it feels freaking puffy. So that's number one. Number two, a lot of times you're going to weigh more too, because water retention, you're not really losing as much body fat as you're gaining muscle. Like you might be gaining muscle and your body fat is slowly coming off. So like there is a phase where you might be like at the same, increasing slightly. Like it isn't a perfect 1-to-1. Yeah, this is why bodybuilders don't drink water before competitions. You have like, I think you retain like 10 or there's like, I think they lose like 10 or 12 pounds from not drinking water, which is so unhealthy. Like don't do that.
Yeah, because I drink a ton of water too. That constant.
I literally would tell you, yesterday I went to a class, I was looking in the mirror and my legs, I was like, they look double the size. They look so not my legs. I literally was like, oh my God. But I was like, just don't look in the mirror. Don't do it. Just keep going. Because it's really hard. Like it messes with you. You're like, oh, it's so hard. So the water retention is very real. The one thing I will say is if you feel like you're not sure if your food is, because when you're weightlifting, you're usually not going to like lower your calories too much. You need the energy to build muscle and to like be able to weightlift heavy. So we're kind of like maintaining your calories or slightly dropping them. If you feel like that's not where you're at, like, are you tracking them at all?
I was, but I need to start doing it again. I need to get back on track.
If you're not, I really recommend it, because what I don't want you to feel like is like you don't know. I don't want you to like, I'm not sure if I'm eating too much or too little. You want to have a general idea. Usually it's 1 week of tracking. Nobody really tracks more than like 5 to 6 days. You'll have an idea by then, but you need like a general idea just to make sure like, is my week still kind of like falling in the right path? Because obviously we do want to know, we don't want you to get 6 months out and be like, okay, I actually did gain weight. This wasn't just muscle. But again, this is just a graph I literally show people of like, you could weigh the exact same and look like this, or you could look like this. I mean, that is literally how different people can look. And this is real. Like I've worked with people like this, where you might weigh the same exact weight, but your muscle is changing so much. So like pay attention to the muscle more than anything.
Okay.
Because once you build a lot of muscle, your metabolism is faster. It's a lot easier to lose the body fat. So eventually in about 3 to 6 months, you come out of the weightlifting phase and now you go into a body fat loss phase. And it's a lot easier when you have a lot of muscle on your body.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe, are you in Royal Oak or Plymouth? Remind me.
Royal Oak.
Okay. Yeah. Who's your coach?
Hannah.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just send her a message. I would recommend maybe just taking a few days of tracking. It's just really good to know, like, I do that all the time. Every time I go through a year or 6 months where I'm like kind of feeling off balance, like I'm just like, I don't know. I'm feeling like I can't figure out if I'm in the right place, which is like throws me off. I'll track for like 2-3 days and be like, okay, yeah, I was snacking a lot more, or like I didn't realize, or I was eating less than I thought. And I just was really loaded. Like it just kind of opens it up for me.
Yeah. I think I need to definitely keep track of like the snacks, because sometimes I'll make meals and I know like how many calories, the protein and everything, and so I kind of stick to those. But it's the snacking in between, like, but I'm still hungry. I'll grab a protein bar. Well, I don't want to have that many calories, so I take a half, right? And then I'm grabbing a piece of cheese or something. So
yeah, I'm actually right there with you, because I'm going through like a big weight loss phase and I'm so hungry. Like I'm not trying to like cut my calories. I'm like maintaining, but I feel really hungry. One thing I will say is one of the most important things for body fat loss, like losing weight and body fat, is you have to manage your hunger. If you feel like your hunger is getting very out of control, we need to make sure that your workouts are not too intense, or that you're getting like enough sleep and things to get your fullness up, because eventually if you're always hungry, it's just gonna throw you off. Like you're not gonna be able to eat the right amount of calories. So that is definitely something we need to look at. Like hunger management is the number one requirement for weight loss. Like you can't be overly hungry. I'm feeling that now. And I literally like talk about like emotionally, I literally had to like eat a brownie before I went to my workout yesterday, because I needed so much sugar because I was so hungry. It was like not the best decision, but I was like, nothing is satiating me and I need quick like I need to get my fullness up. So today I was like, that is not the right plan. We need to eat like more rice or something. Like we gotta get the fullness up. So yeah, guys, we're not perfect, just gotta pick it up and switch quick. Yeah. That's so maybe talk to him about tracking and talk to her about your hunger, because you can't let that get out of control.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. Hi, Vaughn. Welcome. I don't know if we missed you before. Okay, you guys. Well, I'm going to jump off unless there's any other questions you guys want to throw in the chat. I'll go back to my little presentation. But If there's any other questions, you guys can literally always message our Instagram. You can reach out. I'm super happy to help. If you guys have any other requests for another webinar, like another topic you'd like to talk about, please let me know, because we do them once a quarter, and I haven't decided what our topic is going to be yet for next quarter. But yeah, any other questions? If you guys have questions about training, the programs, let us know. Come in. You can sit with us and chat, or just message us on Instagram. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks, Vaughn.